welcome to Culturally Illiterate, a podcast where four longtime friends watch through every theatrically released Marvel and DC movie in order, trying not to lose our minds along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Jake. I hate celery, and I cannot do ants on a log. And with me are my co-hosts.
I'm Jason, and my middle name's Eric. I didn't have a fact lined up, so that's all I can think of.
My name's Matt, and I cook food occasionally.
Jesus Christ, he acts like he doesn't eat, the poor lad. I'm Sean, and I don't know what the fuck ants on a log are.
Do you know how to do ants on a log?
What the fuck is that?
Celery, and you put peanut butter in the middle and then put raisins on it, and it looks like ants on a log. I love peanut butter, I love raisins, I fucking hate celery.
Why do people do that? That sounds like...
It's like a kid snack.
A kid snack?
Yeah, give it to kids. Get a little protein, you get a little veggie, you get a little fruit.
What part of ants on a log do you not like? Is it the celery?
I hate raw celery. It's disgusting. The texture is bad, the taste is bad, the smell is bad. It makes me want to vomit.
So peanut butter and raisins, alright. Are craisins great?
Craisins are good, but not as good as raisins. I once ate, over a couple hundred raisins in a sitting because we used them for math class in, 5th grade and nobody liked raisins, so they all gave them to me and I ate them all.
You see, I'm the reverse of Jake, where I like celery, but I don't really like peanut butter, and I hate raisins.
You'll eat peanut butter, though, but you hate raisins. Celery is, viscerally disgusting to me.
You're viscerally disgusting to me.
Thanks, Sean. I also want to say, Matt's underselling himself by cooking sometimes, because, for context... Before we got together today to watch this week's movie and record the podcast, he came over early while I was still working. I work remote, and cooked fried chicken for all of us. Made homemade Korean fried chicken, nuggets and wings with a homemade sauce, and it was incredible. And anytime Matt makes food, it's the best thing you've ever eaten. But he'll just be like, "Oh, I cook sometimes. It's fine."
Matt sells himself short.
It's true.
I mean, it's not wrong to say you cook sometimes, but I just feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit here, buddy.
Matt only cooks when he needs to live.
I'm trying to wipe him up, dude.
And he made that sauce. That good-ass sauce.
Oh, yeah, that was good as fuck, dude. It's like a signature sauce or something, and it goes hard.
It's not a signature. It's like a basic gochujang sauce.
I don't know, man. It was good, man. That's all I know. I'm white, brother. I know. It just tastes good.
Oh man,
You put spices.
Everything I'm gonna
blow
make.
My mind.
Everything I'm gonna make is foreign. I'm thinking of making not quesadillas, burritos now.
You said quesadillas because he made chicken quesadillas for it once, and I shit you not, it's the best quesadilla I've ever had. And I'm not just again, look, I'm white, so I'm not just saying oh, I had bad from good restaurants. I've had nice Mexican food. His quesadilla clears it all.
I think you just have food that has too little seasoning.
Dude, I'm going to nice, I'm talking nice places though. I'm not just saying I'm not trying to throw my mom under the bus or something and be white people can't cook. I'm talking legit food.
Look at this man. He can afford dinner.
Yeah, look at that.
Matt also, he hates when I bring this up, but he made me a cake once, unprompted for my birthday. It was incredible. It was a whole ass cake with strawberries in it. It was so fucking good. My grandfather, who is such a healthy eater, ate it over a trash can because he just we gave him a piece and he just sat there and fucking scarfed the whole big hunk we gave him down because it was that damn good. And every time I bring this up, Matt acts super embarrassed, he's not good at something, and it's so weird to me because sometimes I just think about it. It's so I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but absolutely insane.
Jake wants to fuck Matt.
Matt wants to fuck Sean.
Matt wants to fuck me, and Jake wants to fuck Matt. This romantic triangle. This is a terrible love triangle.
Well, we're off for ripping and roaring here.
Jason's been taken out of the love triangle. Get the fuck out.
Jason wants to fuck everybody.
Jason will fuck everyone. Oh, so it's a love square then.
Well, Jason's not really involved in it. It's the three of us wanting each other, and Jason's just well, I want all of you, and all of us are well, no.
So it's if any three of us don't get our way, we have sloppy seconds there.
And I'm just the lonely, horny fuck in the corner.
You've been degraded into sloppy seconds.
I mean, Jason, one of us is bound to lose, so, you'll get one of us.
Polyamorous.
What?
When you have multiple, more than two people in a relationship. Polygamy, polyamorous. I'm not about it, but that's what
I know.
Yeah, okay. Well, before we get into,
Sean didn't introduce himself.
I did.
You did?
I said I'm Sean, and I said my fact was that I don't know what the fuck ants on a log are.
Yeah, and that's
I don't remember that shit.
Oh my
at all.
God.
Talking about ants on
Dog,
the log.
I'm
Okay,
out
you know
of
what?
it.
Like,
Let's get
at
on
least
to
a
let's
minute.
get on track. I'm gonna be the
Fucked
one to
already.
drive us back onto the track of Batman.
I appreciate that. But actually, before we get into Bat,
Oh my fucking
you
god.
know, I'm trying to start it off with like just kind of general discussion. If anyone has a story they want to tell, if anyone has a thing they want to talk about or recommend, I know I got some stuff in the tank. But I don't want to. I know I've so far have talked the most among us both today and in previous episodes. And it'll probably be a trend going forward. So if I want to give you guys the opportunity to shut me up and talk first, if anyone has anything they want to share with the group, share with the class today.
Oh, I got something, dog.
All right.
So,
Oh no.
so for context, I take Lexapro because I have a mental illness, and I have an alarm to take it because you are supposed to take it at the same time every day. And I was coming home from playing basketball with some friends yesterday, and I stopped to get myself food, and as I was paying for my food, my alarm to take my Lexapro went off, and without thinking, I looked at the cashier and said, "Oh shit, I have to go not kill myself." And the cashier just looked at me and was like, "Oh." And I was like, you know what? That wasn't something I should have said to a stranger.
You know, it could have been worse. You could have said, I have to go kill myself.
Yeah, that is true.
That probably would have been even more awkward for them.
Indeed.
But I just was thinking about it, like, because I also work in customer service, so I was thinking about it from that perspective of, like, if someone came into my place of employment and said that to me, and I'm just like, they were probably like, why does he have an alarm for that?
Honestly, so I work a couple jobs currently. One main one and then one that's like a little side gig, and that being I work at a comic book store. And to be honest, there's so many fucking weirdos that if someone said, I'd be so unfazed if somebody said that to me there.
That's fair. That's fair. I got a lot of weirdos where I work too.
Yeah, Jake ships a ton of hentai to a bunch of weirdos.
That's there's mainly one person that buys the hentai, and we'll leave it at that, but that is true. I have sold hentai to someone before because it distributes like any other manga through like the same distributors. So people like what they like. That's all I have to say on the matter. I'm not trying to call anyone out, so but yeah. It's been sold.
I mean, as long as we don't name them, it should be fine revealing their stories, though, right?
I mean, I don't know.
That is personal information.
I'm just gonna keep it at I have technically sold hentai before.
Jake has sold pornography, and that's all you need to know.
I've sold pornography while there were children in the store.
Pause.
They come in and I'm not gonna shut the store down when someone comes in to pick up their stuff.
Cut that.
You can't rip the sunny pod. Okay, well, anyway, I wanted to bring up just because. Are we still on Jason killing himself?
That's all I have for the story. The cashier looked uncomfortable.
I'm sure they were. Well, I just wanted to say, by the time this episode comes out, because at this point I'm aiming for a while from now. Let's just say that from when we record, we're trying to get this done in advance. This third season will be over, but I just want to put it out there for all of you guys. I know Jason's watched the first 2 seasons, but for anyone listening and for Sean and Matt in the room, please watch Atlanta. Its 3rd season is currently airing. I just watched episode 3 of season 3 the other night. And it's one of those things that I feel like there's not enough talk about. Like, it's gotten some recognition. It's not like it's like some bomb or anything. But it's one of those things like, I don't watch Succession. I'm sure it's great. It's on my list of things to watch. But like every time a new episode of Succession came out or every time a new episode of Euphoria came out, it was all over my timeline on every social media, and I'm sure it's well deserved. But Atlanta's one of those shows that should be everywhere, and I feel like it isn't. Created by Donald Glover and Hiro Murai. Sorry if I'm being white and saying that last name wrong. Also starring Donald Glover, Zazie Beetz, Brian Tyree Henry, and Lakeith Stanfield. It's really, really good. Every episode is like a perfect little short film, but also they kind of go hand in hand, and build a very, very smoothly progressing narrative. It uses like anxious situations in a way to build both like weird undertones of horror, comedy, and just general drama. I don't want to say too much about it, just because if you could go in blind to it, I would go in blind to it. But seriously, watch Atlanta. It's crazy to me that this isn't like the biggest show on TV. I think it's the best TV show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down with Jake on that. That show's incredible. You also mentioned Euphoria. That shit's gas. Second season isn't the greatest. The first season's really good. The second season, I feel like I can't judge enough on Euphoria because it's like it kind of leaves off with like some untied things that I want to see what they do with going forward. But I was gonna say, in relation to Atlanta, I saw a TikTok about this that I don't know how accurate it was, but it said something about that apparently Donald Glover referenced that each season kind of follows like the narratives of Kanye's albums. So like the first season's kind of like about college dropout, and the guy explained, I wish I remembered who posted the TikTok, but it was a good TikTok and he explained it well. And I don't know how accurate that is, but it was interesting to me because as a fan of Kanye's music, and he's kind of, losing me a little bit lately, and also as being a fan of Atlanta and Donald Glover, it was very interesting.
Yeah, if you find that, send that my way, because that is interesting. I wonder how much of that's if any of that's.
Yeah, I want to look for the TikTok because it was very interesting.
All right, let's move on from that shit and get into Batman. Yay!
Jesus Christ.
Sort of both. We're going to compromise. I also wanted to just throw out real quick, again, this is something that'll probably be over by the time it comes out because it's just a 6-issue series. But tying in with the Batman, and a lot of these characters cross over, I really recommend the comic Batman Killing Time, written by Tom King, art by David Marquez, colors by Alejandro Sanchez. Really, really good 6-issue mini that's coming out right now, 2 issues deep currently, that is like set in like the early years of Batman, and it's just a really, 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 really well done kind of non-linear detective story. And just kind of on the topic of Batman, if you're listening to this and you're looking for a good place to start for Batman, there's plenty of great places to start, but something that's coming out currently and is just very accessible because it's not weighed down by continuity, really. Batman Killing Time.
You realize by the time this episode comes out, that won't be current anymore?
I know, I said it'll be over. It'll probably be over unless there's a bunch of delays, which happens with Tom King.
But then you mentioned how it's currently coming out, as if somebody would pick it up immediately right now.
Well, the trade will probably be pretty recent when this comes out.
Depending when this comes out, obviously.
Well,
we don't know that. We don't know the timeline on that.
Issue 2 just came out, so the trade will probably come out in like 4 to 5 months. So yes, based off of in my head where this is going, this should be out probably even before the trade. But I recommend it, and that's also for the room. I know you read Batman, but I don't think you're reading Killing Time. Strong rec. All right, well, I just wanted to cover that. Well, as you were saying, Matt, into this week we're covering Batman, released July 30th, 1966. The movie, of course, related to the famous 1960s Adam West Batman show. What's everyone's prior experience with the movie and with the show as a whole? Did any of you have any attachment to it from childhood, or?
I enjoyed Adam West as a person and for all his cameos and a bunch of cartoons. I also associate him with the clip where he does that dance where he what's this move called?
I don't know, like the peace sign, disco-y type. I feel like people get what we're saying.
Exactly, like he does like the peace signs across his face and stuff like that. So that's how I associate him. Also, he played the mayor in the cartoon series The Batman, not the animated series, but the 2004 series. He played the mayor.
I didn't know that.
He did play the mayor, and it wasn't just a one-time cameo. The mayor was a reoccurring character throughout the series, so that's freaking awesome. Also, he was also in The Simpsons as a crazy, crazy celebrity, and I love him for that.
And the Fairly Odd Parents.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, he played Catman?
What was it?
Who is he?
He was a cat superhero.
Is he right? You're looking at me
Yes,
like,
he's right.
Okay, you looked like you were like thinking like, no, you're crazy.
No, I'm just trying to think of the name. Was it Catman?
Pretty sure it was Catman. He dressed up as a cat.
Which is funny because Catman is a DC character.
Of course it is.
Yeah, Catman's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I remember growing up, I watched when I was like, before I was in like school, and I think probably during like kindergarten because it was only like half a day or whatever, I would watch old reruns of the Adam West Batman show with my mom all the time. So I had a strong attachment. And going back to this movie, I gotta say it really holds up. It's written by Lorenzo Semple Jr., directed by Leslie H. Martinson, shot by Howard Schwartz, with a score by Nelson Riddle, and of course the iconic Batman theme is by Neil Hefti, starring Adam West as Batman, Burt Ward as Robin, Lee Merriweather as Catwoman, Cesar Romero as Joker, Burgess Meredith as Penguin, and Frank Gorshin as Riddler. I believe I had seen this movie previously. It'd been a little bit, but not too long since I'd last seen it. What about you guys? Which of you had, I'm sorry, I'm staring at Sean right now, and he has the entirety of his microphone in his mouth.
He's trying to deep throat it right now.
That will be on recording.
That will be muted. I will not allow that to go through. I control the edit, but I just needed everybody to know that.
I've been muted twice.
Anyway, which of you had seen the show before / seen the movie before?
I have not watched the show, but I want to get to Sean because
Jesus Christ.
Can you tell me
No, I can't tell you.
how to please your man?
What?
Because you just deep-throated your mic.
Do you want to say that question again, Matt?
You deep throat your
What
man.
don't you understand?
What's the
show us.
question?
Tell us the technique. Show us how it's done.
How am I supposed to? How am I supposed to show the audience on a
They don't have to
podcast?
see it. They can just hear
How
it.
about we keep Sean from sucking on his mic again, because I'm the one who has to edit this.
Oh, okay.
Valid question, mind you.
How do I fit a whole mic in my mouth? Well,
The mics weren't that big.
these mics are pill-sized, big pill-sized, very big pill.
Okay, well, that's neither here nor there. Again, we're gonna bring it back in. Who here had seen this movie before, or at least seen some of the show?
I had seen I think bits of this movie before, and I've seen the show plenty because I love Batman. So it's just when I was younger, I had a shirt in 5th grade, a Batman T-shirt that I wore all the time, and my 5th grade teacher called me Bruce Wayne because I would always wear that shirt. So Batman's a big part of my life. So anything Batman related I would want to consume. So I would watch a good bit of the show just because it had that Batman name on it.
I remember vividly as a child, we had this friend named Randy.
Oh yes, I think Randy's the first person I watched this with.
Yeah, there was one time where we were in his basement and we just kind of had to put it. I forget why we had to put it on. It had to do with his mother, and we had to put it on. You weren't there. I remember I was watching it with him, and it was parts of the show, and I had seen the movie prior to this. But we just sat there and watched the show, and it was hilarious to watch. Because I had known about the show for obvious reasons, and that I think my first if I wanted to say my first introduction to it was probably the Fairly Odd Parents, given that it was Catman, and it's Adam West, and come on, it's so obvious reference. It's an obvious reference. But I just vividly remember that and seeing it and being oh my god, this was fucking made. This is a real thing. This existed. And I can't remember how old I was then. I might have been I want to say maybe 11, 12, around there.
I was gonna say probably something like that, because I remember. So, like I said, I watched this as a kid growing up. I watched the show somewhat. When I was probably the oldest I watched it up to was maybe 5 or 6 in my memory. And I remember sometime around early middle school, late elementary, so in that 11 to 13 kind of range, was when I was hanging out with Randy, and he was we gotta watch this movie, it's crazy. So that was the first time I'd seen the movie, or at least seen it in full, that I could remember, and we were really deliriously tired, and it was the funniest shit on the planet. And then I watched it a couple years ago again, and then I watched it for this. Shit's crazy. That's all I mean. It is wacky. It's one of the things, a lot of clips in this, I think every once in a while I kind of go re-viral on Twitter, the bomb chase scene. It's so enjoyable.
There's nothing that's not enjoyable about this movie. Jesus Christ, it's so fantastic.
All right, well then let's kind of walk through the plot as we do, and just give our thoughts along the way. I also want to give a bit of a disclaimer. We record just the only option we really have, very close to some stuff that can make some noise, so there's been some pipe sounds and water and whatnot, so if that's picking up on the mics, I apologize, but I just kind of wanted to address it in case it's real bad. Hopefully it doesn't ruin this recording.
We're in the basement. Deal with it.
Yes, we are very, very stereotypically recording in a basement. When Robin and Batman Batman and Robin get a tip that Commodore Schmidlap, great name, is in danger aboard his yacht, and they launch a rescue mission using the Batcopter. As Batman descends on the Bat Ladder to land on the yacht, it suddenly vanishes beneath him. He rises out of the sea with a shark attacking his leg. After Batman dislodges it with Bat Shark Repellent, the shark explodes. Batman and Robin head back to Commissioner Gordon's office, where they deduce that the tip was a setup by the United Underworld, a gathering of 4 of the most powerful villains in Gotham City: Joker, Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman. So that's kind of the initial setup, and I feel like right away we have to talk about maybe the most iconic thing from all of Adam West Batman, the shark repellent bat spray. I mean, you can't get better than that in terms of really random gadgets with bat thrown into the name.
It's great.
Or the shark.
It's like, what you think of like why he created that gadget, and it's like, was there an incident before this where he was attacked by a shark and he's like, you know what I could use? You know what I haven't come up with yet? Shark repellent.
And he keeps it in his bat helicopter too, so it's like he obviously dealt with this specifically while he was using the Batcopter.
Yeah, because it's not like it's in the boat, which is, in its nature in the water, and, that's where sharks are, because it was in the helicopter. So that's a good point, Sean. He had to have been experiencing shark attacks while in the Batcopter.
But I feel like we're ignoring the amazing build-up to that moment, because everything before that was amazing. The fact that as the narration was going on, Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson are running and opening the secret the secret bookshelf to the Batcave, and on the way, by the way, they get down to the Batcave by going on fireman poles. Instant costume changer. There is a switch that Adam West has to hit on his way down, and if he doesn't, he can't wear his costume. And there's also a plaque with each of their names on it, just to let them know which one of the poles they have to use. Then they get on the Batmobile. They drive and they call the airbase, say, set up the Batcopter. And so they get this, so they're setting up this freaking helicopter with bat wings and a little bat head at the window. And they get out, they get into the Batcopter, start flying off. Then they see the yacht that needs to be saved. So Batman says, I need my bat ladder. And so they send the ladder down. And at the tip of the ladder, there's a little plaque that says bat ladder, just in case anyone forgot. And then the amazing shark scene happens. And by the way, the shark was very much ready to bite Bruce Wayne's ass, because he was not like deep in water. He was like waist up to the waist in water. And by the time he got out, the shark was already nibbling there.
And then he kicks the shark off and it explodes because apparently they stuffed it with TNT. It's all very dramatic and theatrical, which I appreciate. And then I told this anecdote to you guys when we were watching the movie, but I feel like I should share it again, is that maybe I should stop saying trivia that I read until save it for the podcast. It's probably a better idea. But apparently they were like screening the movie for Fox, who distributed it, and they were unhappy with the sound effects of when Batman hit the shark, which Adam West's response was just, well, the shark looks so fake, no one's gonna care. So, gotta respect that.
You know what? I feel like if there's one thing I appreciate from this, it's the tongue-in-cheek campiness that this entire show, and film, I should say, carries throughout just the entirety of it, and just getting more and more absurd. I need more of that in my life.
They're in on the joke. It's all very intentional, and I think it's funny that there was a stretch of time where this show was looked back at as it was popular at the time, and then it was kind of looked back out, especially in the 80s when you have Dark Knight Returns coming out and everything has to be ultra gritty and serious. It was bad and it was a joke, but it's really good. It's well made, and the aesthetic is so consistent, and it's all, none of this is a mistake. It's not an accident. They know how ridiculous
It's inherently meant to be absurd, and I love
Well,
it.
yeah, that's the thing is, I feel like so often people look at things and see them as lesser because they're less gritty or dark, like you were saying, like with Batman and the Tim Burton series and all that happening. So when people looked back at that, it was like lesser because it wasn't as dark and serious and gritty. But it's like, well, they weren't trying to be dark and gritty. They were trying to be dumb and campy, and that's what they did, and they did it really well.
It's acknowledging the inherent absurdity of the concept, and it's just having a fun time. And that goes, top to bottom with everything we've said so far, with things like Joker having a painted over mustache because Cesar Romero didn't want to shave, with things like Commodore Schmidlap gets abducted and he's abducted the whole movie and never seems to notice, even though Joker's serving him tea. And it's just, they're winking at you and they're aware. It's not like it doesn't understand what it's doing. Podcasting is really hard because I talk with my hands. I don't know if I said that last episode or not, but I'm very gesticular, and I'm finding myself talking with my hands, and it just doesn't have the impact.
He's very testicular.
I think you did mention that before. I don't know if it was in the episode or what, but I feel like I remember hearing you bring that up before.
You have brought that up before.
I'll keep doing it. Took it fucking twisted. All right, so the four criminals equip themselves with a dehydrator that can turn humans into dust, an invention of Schmidlap's, who is unaware that he's been kidnapped, as I previously said. They escape in a war surplus pre-atomic submarine. They really want you to know it's a pre-atomic submarine that's made to resemble a penguin, and recruit 3 pirate-themed henchmen, Bluebeard, Morgan, and Quetch. Batman and Robin learn that the yacht... Fantastic names, across the board, fantastic names. Batman and Robin learn that the yacht was really a holographic projection and return via the Batboat to a buoy concealing a projector, where they end up trapped on the buoy as it's transformed into a magnet and targeted by torpedoes. They use a radio detonator to destroy 2 of the missiles, and a porpoise sacrifices itself to intercept the last one. There's a lot of dead marine life in this movie.
And a lot of it happens off screen, which is extremely disrespectful to the sacrifice these 3 creatures gave to
Matt
them.
wants to see.
Do you want to see a dolphin?
Matt wants to
Yes!
see these animals viscerally murdered on screen. Jesus Christ!
I can't say I'm with you on that one.
Honor their last seconds of life, their honorable last seconds, to save Batman by at least showing their deaths.
Listen, I don't agree, but I see where he's coming from.
I guess, but I'm also like, it was the 60s, but they're gonna have to blow up a real dolphin. It's not like they could CG that shit. Like, I don't really know how effectively you can make a practical dolphin effect blow up on a relatively limited budget.
No, I see it happening. We're just gonna blow up an actual dolphin.
I just feel like there's a lot of condoning of animal harm.
Listen, it was the 60s. It was a different
60s.
time.
It's a
You could
different
kill
time.
dolphins
It was
back then.
Okay, murdering animals is fine back then. Not now.
It's the good old days.
So the bat dolphin saves their life. The bat porpoise, it did so on purpose, to intercept.
Fuck you, Jake, for that.
Yeah, that was deserved. Catwoman disguised as a Soviet journalist. I'm gonna try to get this name right. Katerina Irina Tatiana Kerenska Alashov, or acronymed as Kitka. We'll just call her Kitka for the rest of the time because they definitely said every one of those names wrong.
Oof, he tried.
You want to try to read it, buddy?
No, because I'm white.
First of all, Russians are white.
Technically, they are considered Asian, but
Well,
depending on the region of Russia.
Okay, but my point is they're still white. Anyway, Catwoman disguised as Soviet journalist Kitka helps the group kidnap Bruce Wayne and pretends to be kidnapped with him. This plot summary really skims over her seducing him. This is a mad horny movie. As part of a plot to lure Batman in order to finish him off with another of Penguin's explosive animals, this time an octopus, not knowing that Bruce Wayne is Batman's alter ego. So yeah, I feel like this is a good time to discuss how ridiculously sexually charged this movie is.
Every time Bruce Wayne and Catwoman are on the screen together, they play sexy music, porn music.
Oh yeah, it is so tense, and they don't these days, and it's crazy because it's 1966, and now in 2022 as we record, rarely do you see a Marvel or a DC movie with any kind of eroticism. There's almost no sexuality in them. And this movie, in an era where everything's kind of repressed, has shots coming up Catwoman's leg and their face close together, and shots of them in a bed together, handcuffed, and this constant flirtation. And with the musical score, it is always like that.
Movies need to be hornier. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's an issue.
What's that thing where submarines had to look through like this thing to above the surface?
A periscope?
Yeah, Periscope, what Jason said.
Periscope?
Okay, so here's a little bit of context for what we're talking about. So, Joker and all the other villains are in the submarine, and when they look in the periscope, Catwoman, every time she looks through the periscope, she like moves her body like erotically every time she does it, and she doesn't stop. Even where like shots where like she's mostly standing still, she's still shaking her ass. And I don't know, but like some people will like it a lot, but like they didn't really need to do that if she wasn't with Bruce Wayne.
Well, and I'll say this, not that we're the ones to decide on this matter, obviously, but I do feel like, and it may just be because of the nature of what the movie was, but that said, I don't feel like Catwoman's treated too... I don't think it's shot super male gazy. The biggest shot that I can think of would be there is one where it's kind of coming in at a Dutch angle and it's like looking at like Joker, Riddler, Penguin, and you just see almost like a black line overhead, and then it zooms out, it's like under her legs, but it's not like it's like an ass shot. Like it's not like it's something that is like so particularly like objectifying Catwoman as a character. And I don't want to give this movie too much credit. It's a cheesy movie from the 60s. It's just there to have a fun time. But it is funny, the mix of like this being a family movie, but also being horny as shit. But in my opinion, which again, listen, I'm a dude, I don't get to make this call, but from what I can tell, please correct me if you disagree, both the people in the room and anyone, to reach out to us, I don't think it's shot super like voyeuristically. Like I don't think it's too, I don't feel like, it doesn't feel like pervy, if that's the word, despite Catwoman like always laying across the table. Because you know what? Adam West, also crazy sexy when he's not in the bat suit. Handsome guy. No one ever talks about.
Why do you say he's not crazy sexy in the bat suit?
Because you can't see his face.
I can see the bottom of his face. I'd fuck that face.
Okay, well, I just mean like I think he's a good looking dude.
Exactly, I'd fuck that face.
And even with the suit, he got those sexy eyebrows.
The eyebrows painted on the
Hell
cowl.
yeah.
The nose outline.
You gotta know where his
Oh,
nose
yeah.
is.
Gotta know where the nose is. And the multicolor cow, it's great. It's where Injustice got it from. But yeah, I just think it's interesting how this movie from the 60s that's aimed at a pretty young audience just runs laps around modern blockbusters in terms of sensuality, sexuality. That's something that's really missing from a lot of movies these days. It is. I mean, that's an important part of being a human and being like, and I'm saying this as someone who's ace, someone who is not like, I'm not out here trying to fuck Adam West or Lee Merriweather or anybody really, but it's just like that's fucking reality, and it's like really, really weird when you have it takes it away from romantic tension generally, in a lot of these movies when these characters that are being portrayed as heterosexual seem to have like no heat between them, versus like Batman and Catwoman in this movie, it's exclusively heat between them. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I fully agree. As someone on the opposite end of the spectrum of Jake, who's
trying to fuck
everybody.
What? I hate this so much.
Talking about erotic Batman Catwoman stuff? It's an important part, bro.
Listen,
It's just how it's like, I'm on the opposite side, and I love that Batman and Catwoman look like they want to fuck. And then Jason is also like, well, wait, I'm also on the opposite side, and I also want to see them fuck.
They should.
I'm not
they
saying-
should look like they want to.
I'm not saying I want
They
them to
sound
fuck,
like they want to.
Dude.
but listen, in general, most people in the world want to fuck.
Oh, I'm an anomaly statistically.
Statistically, most people want to fuck. So if we're watching these two heterosexual people that are supposed to be romantically interested in each other and they don't act like they want to fuck, then it pulls me out of it. It doesn't immerse me.
There's no chemistry in like 99% of like MCU movies. Like there's not. At least not like in that respect. And it's just kind of refreshing to go back and watch a movie where it was like, oh, we get to do this and like acknowledge this. Like it's just like why do you have to act like sanitize it like it's not like it's fine, like it's not just a part of life. Like I don't get it. And it's just nice to see it exist.
Right, like why do we have to be a bunch of Puritans who just can't watch a couple people fuck?
You fucking prude.
Couple of good-looking people want to jump each other's bones. I don't like what's wrong with that. I don't know. Where does that expression come from?
I have no idea.
I just thought someone may know.
Why'd you look at me?
Jason's the only one who would know.
Matt and Sean evidently seem very done with the discussion on horniness, so I guess we'll move on. After
I would just feel weird making the comment of just having some sort of opinion on like the horniness of Batman.
y'all are fake as hell because we talked about this throughout watching the movie about how much we appreciated it. I just think it's a relevant part of the conversation.
I did not make a comment on it other than like I wanted to fuck Adam West primarily.
Okay, how about this on the top of Catwoman? I also think it's worth noting, again, Catwoman played by Lee Merriweather in this movie. Several women played Catwoman throughout the iteration of Adam West's Batman. But she took over for Julie Newmar in this movie. Just a little fun fact, because they told Julie Newmar too late that they were making the movie. This was originally, they wanted to pitch the movie actually similarly to Superman and the Mole Man as a lead-in to the show to kind of gain interest, but because of how expensive a movie is relative to a show, the studio wasn't interested, so it only actually got greenlit after the first season aired and was wildly popular. And then they failed to tell Julie Newmar in time that they were making the movie, so then she couldn't play Catwoman, so they replaced her with Lee Merriweather in the movie, which they had already started filming when they cast Lee Merriweather. So they had to work around that because they had already started filming, including shots with villains, because this movie was written in 10 days, filmed in 28 days of principal photography, with another 3 days of the second unit filming. So that's just a little behind the scenes production fact. So after Bruce Wayne fights his way out of captivity, he again disguises himself as Batman, and the dynamic duo returns to the United Underworld's HQ, only to find a smoking bomb. Batman's met with frustration, rushing all over the docks in hopes of locating a safe place to dispose of the bomb, and does so in the nick of time. The Penguin then disguises himself as the Commodore and schemes his way into the Batcave, along with 5 dehydrated
What is
henchmen.
the bomb smoking?
Crack cocaine.
Hell yeah.
This plan fails when the henchmen unexpectedly disappear into antimatter once struck, so even Adam West Batman kills, apparently.
Okay, we talk about how that's because instead of hydrating the henchmen with light water, he hydrated them with heavy water, which apparently disrupts their molecule to the fact that when you hit them, they travel into another dimension.
I mean, I'm not saying the science is sound, but it probably would make
No. The science is sound. I know a chemist.
You know a chemist.
I think we all know a chemist.
I know a guy. It's the science is down pat. It checks out. Trust me.
Okay, good to know. Good to
I
know.
want to know what it's like to
hydrate yourself with heavy water now. I really want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to
because
that.
if this
Matt just
water
wants to drink heavy
dispensers-
water. Matt's thirsty. Matt's a hydro homie.
What I learned from this movie is that waters come in 2 variations, light and heavy. I've tried the light. I haven't tried the heavy.
Well, light and heavy water
There's
is a
also
thing.
soft and
Because I
hard
don't-
water, Matt.
Huh?
There's also soft and hard water, Matt.
Yeah, like
What's
I'm not.
hard water? Is that like mineral water?
Is hard water H3O? Am I making that up?
I don't fucking. I know a chemist, but I don't know a chemist that well.
I know it exists, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the differences are.
I'm gonna look it up now. What is heavy water? Heavy water is used as a moderator in some reactors because it slows down neutrons.
Fuck you. You can't
Is
reference
heavy
that.
water safe to drink? Made by swapping water's hydrogen atoms with their heavier relative deuterium. Heavy water looks and tastes like regular water, and in small doses is safe to drink. No more than 5 tablespoons for humans. So apparently it's unsafe for humans past 5 tablespoons.
I can still drink it though.
As long as you drink 5 tablespoons.
I have a measuring spoon at
All right,
home.
next week we're drinking 6 tablespoons of heavy water
Sex.
and we're gonna see what happens.
All right, yeah. So next week we kill ourselves. And this has been a new segment we like to call Sean's Science Corner. So where was I? They unexpectedly decimated antimatter once struck. The Penguin mistakenly rehydrated them with toxic heavy water, used to recharge the Batcave's atomic pile, leaving them highly unstable. Side note: Batcave looks sick as fuck in this movie. Really cool.
All the
look.
sets look great.
Oh yeah, the production design and it's like all of the movie. The vibe is just immaculate.
Oh yeah.
Immaculate vibes, man. Ultimately, Batman and Robin are unable to prevent the kidnapping of the dehydrated United World Organization Security Council, giving chase in the Batboat to retrieve them, and Miss Kitka, presumed by the duo as still captive. Robin uses a sonic charge weapon to disable the Penguin submarine and force it to surface, where a fight ensues.
What weapon?
Sonic discharge.
That is not a.
Sorry, sonic charge. I just had discharge on the
That
mind.
is not a sonic charge weapon.
Well, yeah, I got
That is
discharge
just
on
a
the
straight
mind.
up bazooka. They just fire at the submarine and it just rocks their thing all the way. It looks like it's like leaking water and stuff.
It's like a light that comes out of it. It's not like it's like a fucking like.
I just thought it was.
What do you call what comes out of a bazooka?
Oh wait,
Is it called a rocket?
Is it a rocket?
What? I guess what we're doing. We're looking things
Hey,
up.
look at that! This is gonna be Jake's military corner.
Oh God, no. Can't spell bazooka. I'm stupid. I mean, it's described as an anti-tank rocket launcher weapon. I never would have thought of it as a rocket, but I guess it's a rocket. What's the ammo in a bazooka? 88.9 millimeter Instalaza M65. Who cares? No. If someone's listening to this still, they're not here for
Big boom boom. Big boom boom.
Big boom,
big boom,
boom.
boom. Yeah, they make big boom boom. I also want to talk about how when they dehydrate people, it's not like they become like really like dehydrated looking humans. It's not like they're like skin and bones or something. They turn into powder, colored powder.
It looks like cat litter.
It looks like you know those like at any like carnival you have in like any suburban area where they have like the like they're like the shaped tubes that you'll fill with like sand.
Yes,
It's exactly like that. That is exactly what it reminds me
Oh my
of.
god!
they put them in the vials too.
They were just making color sand.
Exactly. It's like you like multi-layer it in like a bottle, and then by the time you bring it home, it's ruined. But you still want to keep it anyway as like a memory memento. But eventually,
I had
throw it
one.
away.
I had one that was a dinosaur. I remember that.
Dude, those were sick. Wonder what happened to mine.
I would like to add that Sonic Discharge was my nickname in high school.
Was that because you painted yourself blue, or because you had a lot of discharge?
Yes to both.
We have been talking about horniness a lot, or at least me and Jason have. All right. Well, I just wanted I wanted to bring that up because if someone's listening to this and they haven't watched the movie, I feel like it's important to know just how ridiculous this little pile of like colored sand they have as the dehydrated human beings, and when they rehydrate, they just respawn as humans. It's glorious. So although Batman and Robin come out on top. Batman and Robin come out on top. That's how
boy.
words are said. Batman's heartbroken to find out that his true love, Miss Kitka, is actually Catwoman when her mask falls off. Side note, generally surprisingly good action in this movie, in my opinion. I felt like it was genuinely pretty like engaging and fun and like pretty well choreographed for like what it is.
Pow.
For a movie that took 28 days to film, it could be much worse.
Oh yeah, it's not bad. And again, it's like good sets. The costumes are great across the board. You gotta love the onomatopoeia on the screen when they make contact. All the special effects.
Kerplop.
Kerplop, that is a good one.
Sploosh.
Sploosh.
Sean, I told you to stop masturbating during the podcast. Bad jokes. Honestly, the only disappointment I think action-wise is when they get Catwoman, he stops her, and I guess it's like maybe they didn't want to portray him like hitting a woman on screen or something, but he stops Catwoman because she trips and falls, and then turns around and her mask has fallen off. And he gets very, very sad for a prolonged period of time. A really sad Russian music plays that his great love was actually motherfucker.
I muted my mic, so it's okay.
Okay, so I said Sean burped pretty, solid burp, probably like a 6.5, 7. And first of all, I would keep it in. I appreciate that you muted the mic, but I probably would not bother to mute it, like in the after.
I think I'm gonna throw up on the mic next time.
Sean burped right into the mic, like held it right in front of his mouth, and I was like, dude, you could at least turn away. But apparently he muted it, so we'll see if he's fucking with me or not. I don't know if I fully believe Sean.
I'm gonna barf on the mic next time.
You gonna barf on the mic?
I hope that's a lie.
Gonna make everyone uncomfortable afterward.
No, you're not gonna make me uncomfortable with that.
I mean, what if I'm deep throating the mic and
Oh,
that's how
please
I
do.
throw
Please do. Do it right now.
up? Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
You're gonna talk about deep throating and vomiting on the mic, but I can't talk about the sexual tension between Batman and Catwoman.
No, one of these is more serious and one of these is lighthearted.
I want to have a serious conversation about the movies we watch, even if they're ridiculous Batman movies from the 60s.
I don't see what's wrong with talking about horniness. It's a part of life.
There is no issue with talking about horniness. I just don't think at this point in time, in this current state that I am in, that I can make any serious conversation about horniness in Batman 1966.
So what I'm hearing is Sean's horny and doesn't want to talk
And
about it.
He's getting hot and bothered.
I'm getting hot and bothered.
We're talking about it and Sean's popping a chub over in the corner.
I'm sorry, Adam West is just. I mean, like when he was Bruce Wayne. I mean, man, that guy has a chin. I think his jawline is so attractive.
He also has beautiful eyes. But
God, he does.
hey, that goes without mention though. Almost all of them have beautiful hair.
That's true. The hairstyling in this movie in general is weirdly kind of good.
Exactly. Also, back to like sex talk thing. It's like when it comes to me and sex, I know almost nothing about it, so I can't really contribute to the conversation.
Buddy, sometimes I don't know if you realize what you're saying on mic.
Matt,
I
when
mean,
a
I
man-
said it's gonna come up sooner or later. It's going.
I don't think it was.
Matt has to admit fully, without context, that he is a virgin.
Matt, listen.
I have no problem
Do
with
you
that.
know where babies come from?
Yes, I did see a birth video.
To Sean's science corner. Sean, where do babies come from?
The stork. It's the stork. I promise you. I know a chemist. It's the stork.
Dork fucked your mom. And now you're here.
Matt, your mom was fucked by a bird. How does this make you feel?
I mean, it worked. So
Speaking of birds, and this is this is a really weird segue, but something to know about Jason. Can you tell us how you feel about birds?
I fucking hate birds. I am terrified of them. I can't hang around them. I don't like seeing them. I don't like being near them. I don't like hearing their sounds.
What? Jason,
They're everywhere.
you want to know where you came from?
I can't do it. I can't do birds. I hate them. They're so scary. I can't. I live in constant fear because birds are all around me.
In opposition to that, I love ducks. And during the Batman chase scene with the bomb, to circle back, he almost throws it over, but then doesn't because there's ducks there, which I appreciate him valuing the ducks' lives. Also, side note, this scene with him trying to dispose of the bomb is literally just the ending of The Dark Knight Rises. So, watch those two scenes back to back for just same thing twice. But Jason was very angry with Batman for not disposing of the ducks. Fuck them ducks. Great scene.
which is incredibly ironic because the college team that Jason roots for is the Oregon Ducks. So
different.
it doesn't really make any sense.
That's
how
completely different.
He wants the ducks to die. He doesn't.
Also, you, as all of us should be, since we're from the appropriate area, are an Eagles fan. Go Birds.
Go birds.
Go Birds.
Burb.
Okay, Sean, close
Fuck
enough.
you, Sean.
So anyway, back off of the birds, off of the stork, fucking Matt's mom.
I'm fucking Matt's mom.
They, Miss Kika, mask falls off, he finds out she's Catwoman. Commodore Schmidlap accidentally breaks the vials containing the powdered council members and sneezes on them, scattering the dust. Batman sets to work constructing an elaborate supermolecule dust separator to filter the mingled dust. Robin asks him whether it might be in the world's best interests to alter the dust samples so that humans can no longer harm one another, sort of casually suggesting eugenics, I guess? I don't know. In response, Batman says they can't do so, reminding Robin of the fate of Penguin's henchmen and their tainted rehydration. and can only hope for people in general to learn to live together peacefully on their own. While the world watches, the Security Council is rehydrated. All the members are restored alive and well, but continue to squabble amongst themselves, totally oblivious of their surroundings. That was a funny... When they get dehydrated, they're like 5 of 8 deep dehydrating, and they're still just yelling at each other. No one's noticed. There's no alarm. There's no about to leave. And when they respawn, still arguing.
Oddly enough, the show is good at satire.
It's pretty fitting. Yeah.
For the time, it was good at satire.
They also haven't noticed that test tubes are probably up their ass.
Oh yeah, the equipment that the test tubes and the stands that they're in when they get rehydrated just seem to...
They don't poof, they go up their asses.
So again, we can talk about that. So horniness.
Horniness.
Butt play.
I love,
What are our thoughts?
I'm a big fan.
I love it when the
personally.
United States guy got, like, the test tube shoved entirely up his anus in Batman.
Each of them now speaks a different language and displays stereotypical mannerisms of a nation other than their own. Batman quietly expresses his sincere hope to Robin that this strange mixing of minds does more good than harm. The duo quietly leaves the United World headquarters by climbing out the window. The iconic shots from the 60s show of them scaling buildings just turned sideways and descending on their bat ropes. And that is Batman 1966.
Can we talk about how when Batman fucks up, he says, didn't he say we achieve world peace or something like that?
Yeah, he basically implies that, like, maybe this will be a good, like, he fucks up, switches their minds around a little bit so they're, like, speaking the wrong languages, and then it's just like, maybe it's a good thing, and leaves out the window where everyone's distracted.
By the way, I'm not sure how he, like, exits or enters the building, but I assume he just takes the elevator every time. But I guess in the scenario where he fucks up really bad, he needs to jump out of the window.
I was gonna say, didn't they go down the window that time? So
See, they went down the window that time. I think they came up normally, but sometimes they scale the building with the grappling hook and they climb up. Like when they talk about how drunk people are bad, apparently, and climb that one window.
Jesus Christ.
That's a whole bit in the movie.
people who drink alcohol are bad.
Yeah, they're all fuckers.
They come to the conclusion of they're bad, but they don't deserve to get blown up by a bomb. So, don't drink. I was, like, actively drinking while this was happening.
Robin was questioning why they was like, they kind of deserve it.
Robin's pretty edgy in this movie, to be honest.
I do want to give massive props to the man who played Morgan, Dick Crockett. You're my favorite. I hope you. I feel bad for your unfortunate name, but I love you all the same.
Okay, well,
Dick Rocket should have gotten the Oscar for this.
Oh yeah, best supporting actor, Dick Rocket. Who did he play?
He was Morgan, the pirate, one of the pirate henchmen.
What a guy.
I'm gonna look him up now because I don't want to just say his name in vain by calling him Dick Rocket when his name is Richard Crockett. I want to see what else he's in actually, just for the fun of it. He was alive or active from 1939 to 1979. Interestingly, look at me. Today's episode is sponsored by research. Everybody do your research and don't say stupid shit like I do.
Sponsored by research. Just vaguely research.
Everyone should do research. And by research, I mean Google is not your guide. Do actual research, please. Misinformation is bad.
Misinformation is bad. That's the lesson for today.
Do you disagree?
Kinda.
What?
It spices things up.
Jeez. Okay.
Okay.
He did a lot of this is actually kind of, it's interesting to see like some of these older actors, just because it's like these weren't such like big roles even back then, like considering this movie was made with like what, $1 million, a little
Yeah,
over.
it was between like I think 1.3 to 1.5 million was the budget.
So like I can only imagine, given like obviously this had like a fairly small cast outside of like random extras, which this guy kind of was a random extra. Like it's just interesting to see that like these are people who were doing filmmaking and acting as actors during its heyday, especially when it started to blow up in the 50s and like became more of a bigger cultural thing. So it's just, he was the president in the Pink Panther Strikes Again. That's his final film role. Interesting.
Well, he's got a new fan in Sean.
Dick Rocket, you're my man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff to love about this movie. I there's a lot of things that are funny. Obviously, you could argue that it doesn't age well, but like the fact that Batman and Robin are like deputized officials, them answering questions to the press after the first like mission, like it's just all very comical and exactly in the right tone for what everything is. It all lines up. Like there's some good. It's a colorful movie. It looks good. Anytime they're shooting scenes in the villain's lair, they use these like crooked Dutch angles that kind of add this little like flair. This little not flair, but like there's like a personality to the way it's shot. And it's simple. It's not like that big of a deal, but again, I just think as we progress further over time, there's sadly somewhat of a loss of style. So just the little things here, even in the era of like these first couple of movies that are basically just like TV tie-ins, it's nice to see, and it's interesting to see where it started to compared to where we're going to end up heading with this thing.
I'm going to talk about something that's really oddly specific, but I just want to know if anybody feels this way. I'm going to talk about more like specifically like Dutch angles. Does that not give you the vibe of something feeling extremely cheap? I don't know why I associate Dutch angles with a film just being very poorly made. Not that this was poorly made for the time, but just in general, I don't know. I think it's like probably the idea of like Battlefield Earth, which if anybody knows of that movie, which is again considered one of the worst movies ever made. But like that one's known for egregiously using Dutch angles consistently. So it's like I don't know if it's that, and that's what makes me associate Dutch angles with cheapness, but I've never actually seen that movie through fully. So I don't know why I just always associate Dutch angles with something that's like such a cheap way of like trying to get like something's off. So like whenever they show the villains, they obviously put them in a Dutch angle because like the entire point of a Dutch angle is to show that like something's off in the scene. Typically anyways, it can be used for obvious various things. There's context involved. But like I've just always associated Dutch angles with something that's like considerably cheap. I don't know why.
I feel like best guess is you probably have. It's one of those things like anybody can play. I won't say any like, but like it's you can just put a camera on an angle and it means nothing. So you probably have a situation where you have like I don't want to say hack because anybody who's made any movie ever is infinitely more talented than I am. But the reality is it's a decision that you can make that's just like it stands out visually and it can it's easy to and it's relatively easy to do. You just angle the shot and to make it seem like you made a visual choice when in reality it's just like there's no reason behind it. Again, I think in the context of this movie when they use the Dutch angles on the villain shots there is a reason to show that they're crooked, if you will. I mean, not having seen Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's bad. I'm gonna confirm this because research.
But I'm willing to bet it's probably just a situation of you have some shitty movies that overuse them, a stylistic choice, even if it doesn't make sense or you don't really have a reason to do so.
It stars John Travolta.
I don't know this movie.
Battlefield. It's like considered one of like it has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes if that helps. So yeah, it's just one of the and it's a film based on the 1982 novel by Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, if that makes you feel any
No, dude, I love L. Ron Hubbard.
God, no, please leave now.
No, I named my car after him.
Oh,
Because
no.
Elron is a sick-ass name.
Isn't Elron a company that... No, Enron is the
Enron.
company. Yeah, okay. That if you've ever gone to business school, every single class you take ever, there's something you have to read about Enron. Google it. I don't want to get into it, but that's what I was thinking of. Any final thoughts before we wrap this wrap this thing up?
I feel like this movie, it aged pretty well because like it's kind of the same thing with like the first Captain America movie. It's just that after so many years of gritty and realistic Batman, watching something like this, which is like silly and campy, is very refreshing. And the fact that they always say yo ho only because they're in the sea, it's just hilarious to me.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for
Exactly. Though, because of the many years of gritty and realistic Batman, it is so weird to see him in daylight. It's so strange. And like, just see him driving a car or like running through a crowd of people. It's so weird. Oh, speaking of which, Batman and Robin in this movie run faster than cars.
What's your comment? Are you trying to say something, Matt? Matt, all humans can run faster than cars, but Batman and Robin are special. They can run a lot.
They can run a lot faster.
Faster than the speed of a bat.
Faster than the speed
Adam
of a
West
bat.
is really impressive then, because he barely swings his arms when he's running faster than a car.
Well, only 2 movies in, but I think safe to say that we all enjoyed this more than Superman and the Mole Men. This is the top spot of the 2 so far.
I definitely want to add to Matt's a little bit too, and just like I definitely like appreciate like you said the earnest, like how earnest this movie is, and how like I don't know why I guess it's just for the time that like we've been dealing with, you know, pandemic and everything else under the sun, you know, that it's just nice to see like something that's like so wholesome is the best way I can put it at times, which, you know, like this is off topic too, but it's like recently seeing like a lot of people like again complaining about Man of Steel, which tends to be a hot topic for lots of people, but like just wanting that like earnest, like happy, like just generally like good-natured kind of wholesomeness in like a movie is sometimes good. Obviously, like, I do like my gritty Batman sometimes, and, like, there are times when it's like, I want that, but it's also, like, there isn't, I can't remember the last time that I've seen, like, something that's, like, genuinely felt, like, wholesome to just watch. Or, like, wholesome in the way that it's, like, imagine, like, I don't want to say a campy Superman, but, like, in the way that, like, Superman is just, like, a wholesome, earnest character that it's, like, showing the best in humanity, as opposed to, like, consistently showing the worst in humanity.
I mean, like, that's the thing, though, is, like, what better to make, like, a wholesome movie about the best of humanity other than Superman? It's just that because it was Zack Snyder who directed and wrote the film, so it was doomed to fail. But like
Jesus
fuck
Christ,
Zack Snyder.
man.
I mean, also, I think everything I've heard about Zack Snyder is that he's a very great guy, so I don't want to go out
This
there
is
and be
nothing
like,
personal
"Fuck
against
Snyder."
him as a person. This is just him as a director.
I have mixed feelings. I think he's undeniably talented. I'm very mixed on a lot of his movies. My feelings on Man of Steel are actually generally mostly positive, though there can be a little mixed. I just want to say, like, I feel like his version of a lot of these characters are valid. It's all valid, and more power to you if you like them. But it is just a little bit, like, I think you said the word refreshing. This just isn't a version that you see too often. So going back to it's just kind of nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I feel like to a degree it is also typically a reflection of the times and just like, you know, like, yeah, what's popular at the time, and also like how did people like from an inside perspective view the world at the time. So it's like, obviously I feel like at the time, again at that time in the 60s, you're past World War II. It's kind of like everything's on the upswing, like you're having a boom in like every economic sector under the sun in most countries. So it's kind of just an interesting, like, you know, thing to see when it's like, you know, just to get that wholesomeness out of something. I know I'm like kind of like reiterating myself over and over again, but it's just nice to see that kind of like, I just can't think of the last like modern movie that I've seen it in, and I'm just trying to think of something that's like akin to that I've seen.
Honestly,
recently.
I think the closest thing in terms of like if you're talking about like recent comic, and if we're in an era to comic book movies, would probably be like Lego Batman. Which I want to, like I said, like I don't want to like get too lost in conversation about stuff that we're going to eventually cover anyway. But I think you're right. Like the cultural context is important, and I think there's a lot more. There was a lot of things were sanitized and whitewashed back then, but there was a lot more of that positivity, and that we have to keep it clean, family friendly. You don't really get that anymore. There's a lot more cynicism with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, which is why I like seeing that, because it's like it does break the mold a little bit. And I know I say this as the situation of like we're just been in a time where it's like, I don't want to say there's a lot of cynicism in movies, because it's not like something like fucking Spider-Man No Way Home was like completely cynical the entirety of it. And if anything, that one was actually fairly wholesome in the way that it like portrayed its message of Spider-Man as a whole as a character, which again I'm not going to talk about that much, but like just generally I kind of like I like it when movies try to do that, and I kind of want to see more of it. Obviously I know we're in a situation like currently that doesn't make it easy for that to be a message to be portrayed, but I still like seeing that because it just does break the mold a little bit, and it does kind of like step away from be like, hey, I want to see some like escapism is the best way I can put it, because like I obviously go to films to escape real life if anything else, so it's just nice to kind of see that.
Yeah, I feel like with this movie, like it's so iconic and influential, like this just the show and the movie, because like if like we brought up like Fairly Odd Parents and Catman, but even if you like in SpongeBob, like Aquaman and or Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy it's literally like basically the same thing. Like
You mean Mermaid
that's
Man
what I
and
said.
Barnacle
At first
Boy.
I said Aquaman, and then I corrected myself already. You pieces of shit.
No, say
Mermaid
it.
Man
Correct
and
yourself
Barnacle
again.
Boy. Mermaid Man and Barnacle
again.
Boy.
Do it again.
No.
We're edging into like weird fetish stuff. I feel like
like-
let's just let Jason get his point.
But like I just feel like with this movie, like this movie just
But I'm horny.
had so much impact, and like it's such an iconic thing because it's really it's one of the only things we have of that kind. You know what I mean? Like it's so itself, and it has so much personality that makes it unique. So I feel like it's definitely something I'd recommend to people who haven't seen it because it's unique and it has character to itself.
Well, I'll recommend. I do want to try to wrap this thing up. As I want to sleep, to be perfectly honest. So I just kind of want to go around the room. Favorite thing, least favorite thing, and I guess you already said, but would you recommend? For me, this is broad, but like favorite thing, just like again the general look of it, all the bat vehicles, everything being bat branded, the way the bat cave is. It's also vibrant. The costumes are colorful. There's a personality to it, as Jason said, and I think that's just something that's super lovable. I mean, the movie is just it's wholesome and horny. I think the best way I can sum it up. I think it's delightful. Least favorite thing. I mean, the reality is, it's just a fun movie. It's not like it's going to blow your mind or anything. If I had to nitpick something out of it, like it's nothing crazy. It's not like I think this is some masterpiece per se, but it is an important part culturally of who Batman is. And where that was at the time, where comic books were at the time. So I do think it's worth watching. It, like I said, least favorite thing. I mean, maybe it's a little. I don't want to say little. You could probably shave like 14 off of it. It's about an hour 45. It could probably be an hour and a half. It's paced a little weird. Not bad. It's not like a major issue. Overall, I highly, highly, highly recommend it to get that kind of cultural context and to just have a good time. It's a lot of fun. I also want to recommend there are 2 animated movies that came out that are basically sequels to this. Batman and Robin: Return of the Caped Crusaders and Batman vs. Two-Face, where any of the living cast from the show actually came back to do the voice. So I want to throw that out there too as a recommendation. I definitely really love this movie. I feel like we can't say enough about just how much of a blast it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's like you said, it's very fun. My favorite thing is probably, like I was saying, like there's so much character to it, and you can't really compare it to anything. It's just its own thing, and I'm a big fan of things that just kind of are in their own universe, in their own category, because there's just nothing you can, obviously there's other campy superhero stories and all that, but like this specifically is kind of so, it's so itself, and especially in the zeitgeist of Batman stories, it's so, unique to itself, at least in, cinematically. And I like that a lot. And, I don't really have a lot of negative things to say about it. There's, like you said, the pacing, there's times the writing, it shows that they wrote it in 10 days. But that doesn't even really bother me because it's like a fun, campy movie anyway.
It's part of the joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely recommend for you.
Definitely.
My favorite thing was that when Joker and Penguin are off to do robberies, they have to do it in bandit masks, even though they are clearly defined by some of their features, such as Joker's green hair, white face, and red suit, as if that was a dead giveaway of who he was. And Penguin, who goes wah, 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 every time, and who always carries an umbrella and always is wearing a monocle. And yes, it's a recommendation for me, but I also want to add on to what Jake was saying to like series that take on that like the 1960s Batman spirit. There is a Batman animated series called Batman and the Brave and the Bold. It is a show that takes inspiration from the Silver Golden Age comic book ages, and it also is like very unashamedly campy, silly. It's outrageous, but it's still a great show, and you should watch it. And also the action's amazing.
I think I can give this just gets a hard recommendation from me either way. I can't say anything negative about it. Honestly, it doesn't take itself seriously enough for me to be like, this deserves any criticism. It's so lovable and is also just such an iconic portion of Batman history in general that it's like, you're missing out if you don't see it. There's nothing that like makes I could watch this alone and be fucking having a blast, and I could watch this with friends and also be having a blast. This is a movie that I could watch at any given moment and be like, fuck yeah, this is great. I don't think there's a part of this that I could genuinely hate or like dislike in any way.
Well, there you go. Strong recommendations across the board from all four of us. First full rec of the pod. So, don't want to drag this out any longer. Just want to say thank you to Aloren on Twitter for our artwork. That's AYELOWREN. You can follow me for bad movie opinions on Letterboxd at JakeWalter98. Thank you to our very own Jason for providing our intro outro music. Jason, please plug your music.
Yeah, you can follow my personal Twitter at mynameisjason_8, as well as my music at the _upsidespa. Instagram, the Upsides PA, and on SoundCloud I have my tunes to listen to. If you want to, I'd appreciate it. The Upsides is my SoundCloud, if you couldn't tell.
I feel like we should not allow you to plug in your music until you put in your fucking file in.
Listen,
For context, I'm having a hard time finishing editing episodes because Jason has not provided this. I have heard it. It exists, and he won't just put the file in the
listen,
Google
you
Drive.
don't understand. I'm a tortured artist, you know. I have a lot going on. It's hard work, you know.
Okay, buddy. All right. Well, if you're interested in continuing to check us out, you can follow us at illiterate_pod on both Twitter and Instagram. You can reach us at culturallyilliteratepod@gmail.com for any comments or questions. All our episodes are up on our YouTube as well. That's Culturally Illiterate Podcast is the channel name. I want to reiterate, right now episodes are going to be bi-weekly. If that changes, I'll update on the podcast. But bi-weekly next week is Superman the movie from 1978. We will be watching the extended version. That goes for any movies in the future. We're going to default to extended versions because why not? So Superman the movie, in case you're following along, for 2 weeks from now. Thank you for listening, and we will talk with you again next time.